Hi, welcome back to part 2 of the Creating for Christ video series. I'm Julie, and I hope you enjoyed part 1. We left off feeling probably a little bit discouraged. We had talked a lot about discouragement, and I gave you the great, closing statement of, so what do you do? What do you do when you're discouraged? And I've got 3 tips that I think will help you. The first one, when we get into that place where we're discouraged, is simply to recognize where we are. We need to acknowledge it. A lot of times, if you're like me, I go into situations and I'm like, no, I'm okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. I'm fine. And all that does is stuff down in me. And it just kind of adds to the discouragement for me because I never get to the point that I'm like, you know what, God, I am not in a good place. I am really discouraged. I am discouraged because of, and then you fill in the blank. See, here's the thing. God knows it anyway. But we have such a freeing feeling when we go to Him. Let me give you an example. I am speaking and writing, and I teach at my church, and very clearly God has told me that's what He wants me to do. So recently my church has been undergoing some changes, and some things have come up, and people have said, like, Julie, will you do this? Will you start this program? Will you do this? Will you do that? Will you do this? Will you do that? And just about every time I've said yes. And before I knew it, I started just feeling a heaviness on me. The things that I was saying I would do are good things. I mean, they were great things. Starting a new program, taking the word to people who don't know Jesus. I mean, really good things. But see, they weren't the things that God had told me to do specifically. And so, as I kept saying yes, those yeses kept taking me farther and farther away from where He wanted me to be. And it became very discouraging for me because I felt a block between God and I couldn't quite figure out, what was going on there. And then after a while, I started to figure it out, but I'm like, I don't want to admit that. That can't be true because I'm doing good stuff. I can do it. And it was the most freeing feeling in the world when I finally just said, God, I think that I'm doing things that you don't want me to do. And it's weighing me down. It's discouraging me because I don't have time to do the things you do want me to do. And I just need you to help me kind of get out of some of this stuff. And I just got a peace, and I talked to some people, and I just told them, I said, I can't do it. I can't do it because God has shown me what He wants me to do, and I just can't. And it went over fine. But just admitting where I was, just recognizing where I was, and just having the courage to say, you know what, I'm not where I need to be, and it's leading to discouragement, was really huge for me. Another reason why it's important to recognize where you are is because a lot of times you can isolate yourself. You become so discouraged, whether it's in your business, whether it's in a job, whether it's in a family situation, whether it is in anything. And we isolate ourselves because you know what we think? No one else would act like this. No one else would be discouraged over this. That girl over there, she's so strong. She could handle it. I can't let anyone know I'm discouraged. What if they think I'm weak? What if they think, especially as believers, that my faith isn't very strong? So I'm just going to keep this to myself, and I'm going to take myself over to this little corner, and I'm just going to be discouraged over there. Well, can I tell you something about that? When you choose to isolate yourself, whether it's because of anything, regardless of why, it really doesn't matter. But when you choose to isolate yourself, what happens is this. You become weaker. We're told numerous times, particularly by Paul in the New Testament, that we're all part of the body. We're all part of the church, and we're meant to work together. We're meant to lift one another up. We're meant to encourage one another. So those times that we need encouragement, people are there. Well, if we take ourselves out of the race, no one's even going to know it. And then take it to another dimension. When you isolate yourself, it becomes much easier for Satan to attack you. It becomes much easier for him to kind of give you those lies because there's nobody there to speak truth into you. When you're thinking, I made this happen, I'm discouraged because of this, or if God really loved me, this wouldn't happen, or all my friends are fine and I'm not, nobody even cares. All those things that are not true, we start to listen to. Because the only voice feeding into us, the only voice telling us anything at that time is Satan. Isolation is one of his biggest strategies because you're easy prey at that point. Remember, as believers, we've won the battle. We've won the victory. We know what's going to happen to us when we die. We have conquered death through Christ. That's not an issue. Satan can't take that away from us. But you know what he can do? He can make our walk here. He can make our time here so miserable for us because we believe the lies that he's telling us, because we isolate ourselves, that we're no good for anything. Now think about this. Why are we here as Christians? I mean, as people, we're here for any number of reasons. We're here to, be a mother, be a business person, be a sister, a wife, a daughter, an aunt, whatever it is. We're here for any number of reasons. We all wear those hats. But for God, we're here for one thing, and that's to glorify him. And that's to glorify him in everything that we do. Well, if we take ourselves out of the game, if we isolate ourselves, if we put ourselves over in the corner, we can't do that because we've taken ourselves off the playing field. It's the easiest thing in the world for Satan to deal with. He doesn't really even have to battle us too awfully much because we took ourselves out. We took ourselves out. So the number one thing that you can do when you're discouraged is say, you know what? That's me. I'm there. I'm discouraged and I need help. I need an encourager. I need someone to come along beside me and encourage me. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this. Recognize the battle. Once you do that, once you say, hey, here I am, whether it's just to God or to a sister in Christ or your husband or somebody, Satan's going to fight. He's going to fight you hard. Because here's the thing. He's had you under his thumb over in the corner for a period of time now. You think he's going to let you go so easily? Because if he does, what happens? You're back in the race again. You're back on it, you know? Think about a relay race. You get to the point in that relay race when you hand your baton over and you're out of the race at that point, right? Well, what were to happen if in a relay race, and I don't know, maybe there are races like this, I don't know, but what were to happen if you got that baton back and you were back in that race? Suddenly you're contributing, aren't you? You're contributing to your team. You're contributing to the run. You're contributing to the effort. Satan doesn't want that, does he? So a battle is going to happen, and you need to recognize that. You know, spiritual warfare, that's a dark place. It's funny. In the example that I gave you earlier about saying yes to all those things that I just really didn't need to say yes to, a second component of that hit me. I felt like I was just in a weird place, you know? I was questioning things that I believed. Weird, stupid kind of stuff. Things I never, ever thought of. I was getting irritated with Matt more so than a mom to a 17-year-old boy would. I mean, really. Like, I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. Y'all, please. That is so not me. That is so not our relationship. But it was a very weird and scary thing. And I came to recognize, you know what? I'm in a spiritual battle here with Satan. That's what it is. That's what I'm not facing. And I don't know what you believe about that, really. I don't know if you think that that's a very real thing or not. I do. I think it's very clear that it's a very real thing. And I want you to look with me in Ephesians in chapter 6. Verse 10, it talks about the armor of God. Now, if you've been in church for any period of time, you've heard about the armor of God, right? If you were in church, especially as a child, you've probably seen the little felt board pictures or posters of the armor. You know, you have the helmet, you've got the breastplate, you've got the sword and the sandals and, you know, all these things. And I remember in Sunday school as a child, you know, almost a paper doll kind of thing, putting the armor of God on, you know. And why did you put it on? Because you were going to fight the battle. Well, see, here's the thing. When I look in Ephesians and I look at Ephesians 6:10, I don't see anything that says that the armor of God is simply a child's game, that the armor of God is simply an illustration for a child to be able to understand that sometimes you have to fight battles. It's for us. It's for us. Why would God instruct us through Paul about an armor of God if we weren't going to need it? And why do we need armor? We need armor for a battle. Listen to this. A final word. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all the strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in the dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Now this is verse 13, and I like this. Listen to this. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor so that you will be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. And then after the battle, you will still be standing firm. You know what phrase I love there? After the battle. Y'all, how can there be an after the battle if there was no battle? See, we are fighting. We are fighting in a battle against the enemy. And why is that? Why does he fight you so hard? Because you're a threat to him. You're a threat to him, see? And so if he can keep you in that discouraged place, if he can keep you down, if he can keep you out, he's going to fight tooth and nail to do that. Because he knows he can't win the final race or the final battle, but he can sure win the little ones along the way, the little skirmishes along the way. So I think we need to recognize when we're discouraged that we are fighting a battle. So recognize where you are, and then recognize that you're fighting a battle. There's one more thing that you need to know too. Come back and you'll find out what it is.